The first casualty of war is the truth. Here in Johnson, 1917. But what if I told you the second casualty is you, not your body, your mind? They say war is about territory, about freedom, about justice. But they never tell you the cost. Not the cost you see on news headlines or in casualty numbers, but the invisible cost, the psychological war that outlives the one on the battlefield. It doesn't begin with the first bullet. It begins long before that. It begins with the shaping of minds, the manipulation of language, the slow, deliberate training of the public to choose sides, to see the world in black and white, to believe that killing is heroic when the enemy looks different. The war begins in the classroom, in history books rewritten to favor the victorious, in the news clips that show you horror without context, in the speeches that stir your emotions but numb your thinking. First, they separate you from them. They give you symbols to worship and enemies to hate. They reduce complex lives to flags and ideologies. And they do it so well that you start to forget that behind every side is a human just like you. Then they feed you fear. Fear that says if you don't fight, you will lose everything. Fear that says silence is weakness and questioning is treason. Fear that drowns out doubt and glorifies blind loyalty. But here's the secret no one tells you. God doesn't just destroy buildings. It restructures reality. You start to measure morality by who wins. You start to accept things you would have never imagined. You begin to cheer for destruction, convinced it means peace. And all the while, your mind is adapting, shifting, learning to normalize death, learning to silence empathy. This is the psychological warfare they don't teach in military schools, because it isn't just fought with guns. It's fought with language, with narratives, with silence. The soldier trains to kill, but no one trains him to live again. He returns with medals, but inside he carries ghosts. Ghosts of decisions made in seconds but remembered forever. Ghosts of faces he can't forget. He walks through crowds that cheer him, but he feels alone, because no one understands that the war didn't end when he came home. It followed him. It haunts him. It echoes in the cracks of normal life, in the snap of a door, in the scream of a dream. He can no longer cry, because crying doesn't bring back what he lost. He can no longer feel, because feeling threatens to break him. And still, the world moves on. The politician posts slogans. The general smiles for the camera. The media moves to the next story. But he is still at war. And what about the child born into war? She has never known silence without sirens. She has never known school without bunkers. She draws bombs with crayons and names the stars after drones. They say children are resilient. But how resilient can a child be when her first memory is her brother's body in a pile of rubble? She doesn't know what peace is. She only knows survival. And so, another generation is raised in trauma. Another cycle begins. War begets war. Fear breeds fear. And the world keeps spinning on borrowed blood. We talk about peace like it's a dream, but peace is not a dream. Peace is the courage to see clearly, to see that behind every bomb dropped is a life unlived, a parent mourning, a future stolen, to see that no one really wins, because even the victorious are scarred. Even the powerful carry shame. Why is not just bodies broken? It's trust broken. It's innocence shattered. It's the soul split between what it did and what it had to do. And the worst part, we have learned to look away. We have been trained to forget. We remember dates, not faces. We count victories, not funerals. And we wonder why the world feels numb. Why we feel disconnected. Why violence no longer shocks us. It's because we stopped asking questions. We started cheering for sides instead of mourning for all. But what if we remembered? Not just the stories of glory, but the truth of war, the broken minds, the buried children, the silence that screams louder than any explosion. What if we chose to listen to the ones who lived through it, to the ones who never came back whole, to the ones whose pain is still echoing in the spaces we pretend are healed? Because healing doesn't come from forgetting. It comes from honoring, from looking directly at the pain and choosing differently. So next time they ask for your support, for your loyalty, for your belief in their war, ask them to show you the cost. Not the flags, not the speeches, not the medals. Show me the children who will never laugh again. Show me the families who sleep in rubble. Show me the man who stares into nothing, because the memories won't let him rest. And ask yourself, what kind of world are we protecting, if this is what it requires? Because true peace is not a treaty signed. It's a truth faced, a cycle broken, a memory honored, and maybe, just maybe, a world where war is no longer called necessary, but finally called what it truly is: a failure to listen, a failure to feel, a failure to see ourselves in one another.